So, what to play for a C7 or a D7? If you're a jazz musician, and that's what we're going to stick with here, jazz or blues for now. It's not always true, but most jazz musicians automatically look at the chord symbols and they just know or assume that more color is expected. More options are not only available, but intended or expected. So, for example, if I look at a chord chart that says A7, and I know that my A7 goes to a D, then I'm going to use this voicing right here. Because this is using the natural 13 and the natural 9. That's a standard jazz voicing. And so we have the 7 on the bottom, 9, 3, and 13. We could have 3 on the bottom, and that would be this way: 3, 13, 7, and 9. Sometimes that makes a really good right hand voicing. Now, if you have a bass player, then you're going to want to work on spreading this out into the two hands. If you don't, then it's a matter of the style you're playing. And you might not want octaves. It's kind of a dry sounding or dead sounding thing. And again, in jazz, we're trying to get the most color possible, which is why you hear people say don't double notes, because you got 10 fingers, use them all. But, you know, there is options to double, and there are chances to double. So I want to get you the information today so you know what to put in. How you want to voice your chords, or what personality you have, is really yours, and that's what matters. But it helps to know just some of the basic rules. So, for example, if I have a plain old 7th chord, and I see on the chart that it's going to its target 1 chord, then I know for a fact I can put in 9 and 13 and it will resolve beautifully. Now, the trick to getting 9 and 13 is learning those stock jazz voicings for all of the chords for that matter. But for our dominant chords, like I just laid out, that would be the thing to have. Now, you can play with 2 hands this way, and there's no doubling going on there. And then you'll notice one of the ways I could get to my D is I could keep this here and this, and then I can just make my left hand go to this. And now I have the 3rd of the D, and the 5th, and the 6 on D, and then I have major 7, and 3 up there. It's a nice sound. But I could do this. There's no movement there. Now, this video and most of the ones coming up are not about voice leading. So that might be the only time I mention voice leading, because we're moving more towards just trying to understand what to play and why you can play it, and then you can voice lead or comp accordingly to your personality. So back to the voicing, here's one way to do it. You could put A on top, and now I got a nice fat sound here, and the bass player might be playing A, but it's still going to sound good. So these are possibilities for my A7. But the bottom line is, if it's going to D, that's what I can play. So I can play this one, and then I can resolve to D. And how I resolve again is the other question. That's a voice leading question, but first we want to know, why does it sometimes happen that you see a plain old C7 and some guy's playing this big huge chord? Well, it's because he wants to, because he knows he can, because it works theoretically. All of those answers are correct. So what we're talking about today is the basic rule of engagement for 5 to 1. So you have 1, 4, 5, 1. You might have a chord progression 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. Well, the 5 chord is the one we're answering today, and that's where it says A7 or D7 or G7, C7. Either way, we're going to put that stock jazz voicing in. And we know it's going to sound good if we go to C. So there's a C jazz voicing, but what if I just went to a triad? To C triad. So even going to a plain old triad, it sounds nice. And that may be the situation you're in sometime. So when it says C7 to C7 to F, for example, stock jazz voicing, and I go to F. Sounds great just going to the triad. If I go to a jazz voicing, or I could do the other jazz voicing for the C7, and that's going to resolve nicely to F as well. I could put major 7 in, and 9. So there's all these options for voicing. What is the reason I choose the notes? Because I would like that color. So again, jazz musicians typically want more color. It's just the way it is. It's the way it was. It's what it's become. So when you're playing in other groups, like a pop group or a rock group or maybe a blues group, then you actually want to leave notes out. So you might leave some of the colors out so that it sounds pleasing to everyone in the group. Sometimes the people in the group or the people listening to the music would be like, what is that guy playing? It makes no sense. So you have to be careful who your audience is and who the people you are playing with are, because that dictates your choices as well. If you're playing a jazz setting, a jazz vocalist, saxophone, a trumpet player, whatever, if you play these voicings and land on a good one chord, you're going to win the voicing battle. It's going to sound great. So there are other options. Those are other videos. But this first one here, this first example, is what do we do with a symbol when it says C7? How do we know what to put in? Well, if it goes to F, put in 9 and 13. Use your stock jazz voicings to learn those. And then you can split them between the two hands. You can do all kinds of things with them. This video is not about voice leading, like I said. This video is going to be about just getting the voicings and playing them. D7. You could just play 9. You could do it this way. Or I could do this. Or I could put it up top here. 7, 9, 3, 13. I could do that with my left hand. It's pretty high, but it's possible. I could split that. That's a nice D7. This works if I'm going to a G. So the note choices are available in jazz. We're looking for 9s, 6s, or on a dominant chord 9 and 13. So G7 to C, as we said. Okay, what about A flat 7? And we're going to land on a nice D flat. If it goes to D flat, I can play this voicing. Maybe a jazz landing. Why did I play that? Look at the notes that are available. These are all part of the A flat 7. That's why those work, is because I'm picking the notes that are in the chord. I'm throwing them into the right hand or into the left hand, and they're going to work because they go to their target 1 chord. 5, 1, that means put 9 and 13 in on your dominant, and it's always going to sound good. So. There are other rules. We'll get to them. But for now, go through some of the songs you know. Find all of those 5 chords that go to the target 1. So you can look through your chord chart or look through your song. Let's say you're playing a standard, and just go down through the standard and find all of those places where, like it maybe says A7 and it goes to D. D major, not D minor. We haven't talked about that yet. So find all the places in there. So D7 goes to G. Okay, so I can play 9 and 13 there. A7, this is going to D, so I'll put 9 and 13 on that chord. And then you can learn your stock jazz voicings and split them 4 notes between your 2 hands to start with, and you'll always sound good. And so just a little bit of practice, and it's always great ear training as well. So just splitting those between the 2 hands with the 4 notes, whether it's an A voicing or a B voicing, and that just is something we can get into in another video as well. But the bottom line is you can have 7, 9, and 13, 7, 9, 3, and 13, or 3, 13, 7, and 9. I have to make sure I don't mess you up there. And those 4 notes each time, you can put 2 in the right hand, 2 in the left hand. Usually you might have the guide tones in the left hand, and sometimes you can just play 3rd and 7 or 7 and 3. That way you can't be wrong. So while you're going through, like I said, if it says B flat 7 to E flat, then you got B flat 7 with 9 and 13. And there are other videos I've done prior to this one where you can look and see some really nice voicings for these different dominant sevenths. And if you go through those and check out some other people's as well, it can help you a great deal. So we'll stop here and go to the next possibility, and that will be like the way we stay organized. So this one is just 5 to 1. So you're playing Duke Ellington's A Train, and there's a G7, and it goes to C. Put in 9 and 13 on your G7. Okay? You're playing, Have You Met Miss Jones? And there's a C7. Okay? It goes to F. Put in 9 and 13 on that C7. So wherever there's an A7, if it goes to D major, put 9 and 13 in. And those voicings are available. Figure those out. I have shown those in other videos, and I will be showing them again. But for today, I just wanted to get that rule to help solve things. So what do you do when it says B7? Well, play a jazz voicing as long as it goes to E major. And then it'll always sound good. That's just the triad. Or what if we do it this way? And we can just go right to the triad. So you can stay simple, go to a jazz voicing, but the point I'm making is why? And the answer is because most jazz musicians put the color in. So that's it for this lesson. Hopefully that gets some of the confusion out of the way. It sets us up for another example next time. So see if you can go through the 12 keys with your 5 chords. Also, get a lot of standards out. That's how I did it, almost like flashcards. Just open the real book up and just play your jazz voicings for dominant chords and resolutions to 1. So it wouldn't matter. Then you'll get really good. It won't matter. It'll say F sharp 7. You got it. You can play it because F sharp is 5 of B. It goes to B major, and you'll just start getting really good and comfortable playing through the 12 keys. Right now, keep yourself simple and organized, and I'll see you next time.